What's up, everyone? So today I want to talk about Bitcoin halving and why Bitcoin supply is limited. So I want to give a brief synopsis because in order to understand why Bitcoin is scarce, why it moves the market, we must understand what halving is, right? So that's what I want to explain. So if you're interested in understanding the basics and the foundation of Bitcoin, then stay tuned. So we know right now that Bitcoin is the dominant player. It tends to move the entire market. When Bitcoin does bad, the rest of the market does bad, right? When it does great, the altcoins tend to move up. So we must understand what Bitcoin is. So the inventor of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, believed that scarcity could create value. I wholeheartedly believe in that because no matter what you enjoy, what you invest in, whether it be cars, you see these super and hyper cars that are very rare, whether it be a one of one, black Luka Doncic card that is a PSA 10, it's going to be worth millions of dollars, right? Whether it be a Mona Lisa, Picasso's, a Van Gogh painting, or a limited supply of gold on earth. Scarcity creates value because when you have less of something, somebody wants a piece of it. Well, Bitcoin has scarcity. It's hardwired in its code, and Satoshi Nakamoto felt like the scarcity of Bitcoin would create demand and it would help people out because you can hedge against inflation, right? There will only be 21 million Bitcoin ever created. And to make that even better, because Bitcoin is even more scarce than 21 million, and that's because Bitcoin has been lost. Whether it's been lost, you've seen the stories in landfills, people's been locked out of their ledger wallets, sent Bitcoin to the wrong wallet address. Right now, there's approximately only 17 to 18 million Bitcoin in existence and ever will be. So that is huge, right? Take that into consideration. To put that into perspective, there are too many rich people on earth, not even including companies, that will ever be able to purchase a full Bitcoin. So right now, if you were to have at least one full Bitcoin, just imagine, by 2140, when there's no more Bitcoin ever left because no more can be mined, what one can be worth. So to understand why Bitcoin is important, we also must understand, fiat currencies and the issues that surround it. So in the US dollar, fiat currency's inception, $1 was supposed to be backed by $1 worth of gold, and that was known as the gold standard. During the Great Depression and World War II, more money, more US dollars had to be printed to stimulate struggling economies. That is totally understandable, right? We can understand why this had to be done. But over time, the standards have been laxed. And money has been printed more often. It's a lot easier to have money approved to be printed nowadays, which increases inflation, making in return the dollar you work hard for worth less. Well, with Bitcoin, that does not happen because of its scarcity. There cannot be more ever created because in Bitcoin's code, it prevented any single party from being able to print more. There will be no more. So miners, the Bitcoin ledger is maintained and secured by miners. Miners have to operate their equipment and energy has to be paid for and is consumed to mine Bitcoin. And in order for miners to do this, they get paid in mining rewards, right? They get paid in mining rewards. And they also get paid in transaction fees. So they do get paid in transaction fees. But transaction fees are a lot lower because right now mining is still lucrative. And over time, that will go down. Mining will go down because it's halved over and over until 2140. So right now, approximately 89% of the total supply has been mined, and only about 2.2 million more Bitcoin will ever be created. So let's understand a brief history. In 2009, Bitcoin mining rewards start at 50 Bitcoin per block. In 2012, the first halving, right? The first Bitcoin halving reduced the mining rewards down to 25 Bitcoin. 2016, only the second halving dropped down to 12.5, and we see the trend. As of last year, it dropped down to a small amount of 6.25 Bitcoin. So over time, these miners are getting less and less, right? They're getting paid less and less. And in order to get paid less and less, you have to offset the cost, which means transaction fees for the miners have to go up in return so they can offset the cost. What's good about Bitcoin is it's supposed to be decentralized, trustless. Nobody's in control, right? No entity, no government, no single person. It hasn't been hacked. Double spending does not occur. That's what makes Bitcoin very special. That's another reason. And the hard cap means Bitcoin is kind of like hard money, like gold, which has been, a total supply that is also practically impossible to change. So there's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin eventually flipping gold's market cap. We're talking right around $17 trillion. Bitcoin has hit over $1 trillion, and we've seen it hit upwards of $64,000. So just imagine if Bitcoin can flip gold, what it could be worth. So to say, when all these YouTubers or other people and some really smart people say that Bitcoin can hit $500,000 to $1 million, I do not say at all that's out of reach, especially when it becomes more and more scarce and it's already hit over half of 100,000. And so time will tell. So since the halving reduces mining rewards, the incentive for miners to work on a Bitcoin network is also reduced over time. This is what we talked about. So right now, miners currently mint around 900 Bitcoin, $33.5 million a day, and they earn between 60 and 100 Bitcoin, 2.2 million to 3.7 million in transaction fees every day. So the transaction fees right now are substantially smaller than the mining rewards. But in 2140, that 6.5% of miners' revenue will shoot up to 100%. And this will cause an inverse correlation, which over time that wouldn't be good because transaction fees would go through the roof. And that wouldn't be good for the people selling it, because it's kind of like Ethereum where you're paying really high gas fees. And Ethereum is moving from a proof of work to a proof of stake. Right now, Bitcoin operates off of a proof of work consensus mechanism. And this is what all the flack is about and all the talk is about with the energy consumption, because in order to mine and use these machines, everyone says it consumes a lot of electricity and a lot of energy and is bad for the carbon footprint. But also, there are a lot of companies and there are a lot of renewable green energy methods that are trying to mine Bitcoin with green energy. And this is getting better and better every day with hydroelectric power, solar power, and other methods. So in the future, Bitcoin could move to a proof of stake consensus mechanism. This really just all depends on how it works out for Ethereum and if it is successful. If it is successful, then Bitcoin in the future could move to that. So what I really want to end on and just talk about is the dwindling Bitcoin supply should increase demand for Bitcoin and would presumably push up prices, right? One theory known as the stock to flow model, which you've probably heard of, calculates a ratio based on the current supply of Bitcoin and how much is entering circulation, with each halving, unsurprisingly, impacting on that ratio. So we're looking at 64 halvings. We're down to 6, little under 7 Bitcoin being mined right now for this third halving. So just imagine as we have more and more halvings, the next one in the next 3 years, and miners are getting less and less Bitcoin is able to be purchased. Once we started and entered institutional adoption with big players such as PayPal and Square and Twitter and Elon Musk, Tesla and MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, and Gemini Exchange, the Winklevoss brothers, there is more Bitcoin being purchased by rich people than can be produced. So small retail investors, if you can just put any amount of money into a Bitcoin, just imagine having 1 or half of 1 Bitcoin when there are only approximately 17 to 18 million to ever exist. This is huge. So take that into consideration. Like I said, if Bitcoin can hit $64,000, it can definitely hit 500,000. I don't see it happening this year. I do think $100,000 to $200,000 is possible. We will have to see. But if you have some or if you're dollar cost averaging, hold on to what you have. And in the foreseeable future, it could be, 3 years, the next halving, 5 years, 10 years. But if you have a goal, set that goal and hold on to it. And in the future, I really hope all of you become rich from it and that you live a very great and prosperous life. So if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, hit me up, and please, come in and hit that notification bell, and I'll be back at you again soon.